then we heard a lot of the history on GPSMet and Cosmic 2. And our speaker, Rick Antis, gave a lot of credit to many, many people who have been involved in GPSMet and Cosmic, except one person, that is himself. So today, I would like to talk a little bit about Rick's role in the Cosmic and Cosmic 2 collaboration. So every time I go to give a talk about Cosmic and Cosmic 2, particularly in the early days, I always got a question: why was Taiwan interested in radio occultation? Taiwan was never on the map in terms of satellite, or at that time, and there was not on the map for radio occultation. So how did this happen? That's always kind of, particularly remember Steve Leroy was asking me about why was Taiwan interested in getting involved in radio occultation? This seems to be just purely accidental. But I want to tell you that it's not really accidental. It actually started with this. This is 1982. And I want you to pay attention to the upper right corner. Do you know who that is? And he is riding a stone lion. Well, why he got to ride a stone lion? It's because in 1982, there was a U.S. delegation to visit China. And you know, that's very early stage of China opening up. So before that, there were very few people go to visit China. So you could see, hey, Rick, you could see here, he's climbing the Great Wall. And I think Rick was really amazed the Chinese people, because he was having a Polaroid, and people said, "Wow, it's a picture of me," and he saw it, So it was really, and he met a bunch of great people in China. So as he prepared his trip to China, I say, hey, it's great that you go to China, but you need to go to the other side of China, across the Taiwan Strait. And he said, okay, well, you're gonna, yeah, I can do that after I visit China. So he is willing to do that. And I was a graduate student, overworked, underpaid, but I thought, hey, my boss is going to Taiwan. I want to make a good impression about the science we do. And he was invited to give a talk. So I decided to, I was working on my thesis, and I decided to make a few rounds with, at that time, we called it the MM3, the mesoscale model version 3, to make a model simulation so that he can give a presentation. And I wanted to point out, particularly to Lydia, at that time, we are running a high resolution mesoscale model at 100 kilometer resolution, because that's all we can afford. And we have a 10-level model, and we were using competitive polarization. But long and behold, we were able to show that latent heat was important to sustain the Mayoux convection. So it was kind of, Rick gave a nice talk, and he also saw that he later on, he also joined a department review. So anyway, he got to know, as you pointed out, you got George Chen, and you also got this person is called Jackson Chen. He is quite a drinker. And I think the only person who can beat Jackson was Rick. So after we had a great visit, Taiwan, in terms of meteorology, has two major problems. One is, of course, tropical typhoons. And on average, Taiwan is hit by typhoon 3.7 times a year. So it's a huge problem. And the other problem is called the convection during the Mayoux period. Why? Because Mayoux, and the Japanese call it Baiyu, and we also have Korean scientists here, we call Chama. And during the Mayoux period, we have convections. The Mayoux front is really essentially a quasi-stationary front with significant moisture contrast, but not a lot of temperature contrast. And you tend to have convection popping up along the Mayoux front. And the challenge you have here is convection can develop quickly over the Taiwan Strait and Mach 4 over Taiwan with very little time for warning. And it's causing a huge amount of economic impact. And so, but on the other hand, we don't have mesoscale observation system. There's no radar. We have a couple of radio songs, and people were wondering, how can we improve prediction on Mayu convection? So because Rick visited Taiwan and he got to know George Chen and George, and here's also Dr. C.Y. Tsai. They wanted to do a field experiment on Mayu. So they come and visit NCAR to say, hey, would you be interested in doing a field experiment with us? And so I was just a junior scientist. I just basically started working at NCAR up to a couple of years. And they contacted me, so I organized a meeting to arrange for a discussion between the NCAR scientists and our colleague from Taiwan. And so our colleague asked the Taiwan scientist, so how are you going to do this so-called mesoscale experiment? He said, oh, well, you know, we got a couple of radio sound stations. Right now, we are releasing something every 12 hours. I think we can probably come up with enough money to release the radio sound every 3 hours. And my NCAR colleague, they were laughing. What are you talking about? That's not mesoscale experiment. You don't have mesoscale instrumentation. How can you do mesoscale experiment? And also we had a lot of discussion about convective initiation and all that. And they said, well, if you really want US scientists to be interested, you need to be able to bring like Doppler radars, research aircraft, and so that to Taiwan. So at that time, you know, for US to be doing that, it's really not that easy either. So you have to be writing a proposal to NSF to say, hey, we're going to do this experiment, and what is the scientific objective? Why US scientists should be interested in that? And I would say that the person who really is critical here is Rick Antis and Bob Serafin. And Rick, at that time, was the director for the Atmospheric Analysis and Prediction Division. And Bob is the director for the Scientific and Atmospheric Technology Division. So to get this, because nobody wanted to do this experiment, I said, well, I'm a Taiwanese. We are going to be doing experiment over Taiwan, and I volunteer to be helping get this started. So later on, I became the TAMX director. So I go to my NCAR director to say, hey, would you be willing to give me $20,000 so I can set up a project office so we can get started on that? And my NCAR director told me, say, okay, well, that sounds interesting. If you can raise $10,000 by talking to all the division director, you can get contribution for $10,000. I'll give you the $10,000. So I started to go visit the division director one by one, holding my tin cup. Rick was the first one to give me the $2,000. So I'm very used to holding my tin cup. Beware. So anyway, so George Chen was the Taiwan project director. We actually started planning in 1985, and incredibly, we actually did bring the NCAR CP4 Doppler radar. Believe it or not, we actually also get NOVA P3 to Taiwan to participate in this experiment. And we also, National Science Council also provide the ship. It was really, this particular chart on the lower left, I want to point out to you, is before we did the TAMX, we thought MAYU is very broad. It's weak volcanic discontinuity. Only after we did the field experiment, we realized by looking at the Doppler radar, it's actually a kilometer scale, not 100 kilometers. So it was really amazing experiment. And I want to say that this has been a very instrumental and important. And you know who this guy is? This is Rick Antis coming into Taiwan. At this time is 1987. We were doing a field experiment. We have to decide whether today is a down day or a field day. And Rick was participating in that experiment. So it was a great study. And you know that the other challenge we have here is 1996. There was a super typhoon hit Taiwan. It produced 1.7 meter of rain in 24 hours. It was causing 200 casualty and damages. And at that time, Dr. C.Y. Seitz said, hey, can you help organize a workshop so that we can discuss about how to improve typhoon prediction? So we actually did, and we came to conclusion is that we don't have adequate observation. Model resolution is not good. We don't also have a good way of doing assimilation of the data. And so we need to improve all this. And at that time, we actually have, again, Dr. Chen, are you here? Well, this is the first time we have a workshop that was actually supported by TECO, the Taipei Economic Cultural Office, that science division that funded our workshop. And here's Dr. Tsai. You also know Kerry Emanuel was in the audience here, and another Simon Chen is also another RIC student. And of course, the rest of history led to the cosmic discussion. So I wanted to point out one thing. Rick mentioned that trust is important, and no doubt about that. But I also wanted to point out trust cannot be built overnight. And I would say that the successful collaboration on TAME experiment was critical to build that trust. And this would not have been possible without the confidence and the trust between managers on both sides. And I would say, here's one example here. Rick is sitting in the middle. We have NSF on the other side. We have National Science Council on the other side. It is that trust and that linkage that makes things happen. I want to say that since Rick mentioned a visit Taiwan in 1982, there's basically 40 years of collaboration. We have done 3 more experiments. Those are in red. And we also have numerical weather prediction collaboration. We have done COSMIC and COSMIC 2. And now we are thinking about maybe, we could have potentially collaboration on another level. I also want to say that Taiwan was that started with that visit. We have modernized meteorological observation system, had advanced NWP, and developed strong leadership in radio quotation. And most importantly, we have educated a next generation. And I would say Rick played a key role in all this transformation. I just want to quickly highlight Rick's significant contribution in science. He wrote a book in 1982. And by the way, I'm going to tell you that it's still available on Amazon, only costs you $32. And also, he developed a series of models, and this is the developer. And of course, he led the GPSMed, COSMIC, and COSMIC 2, and he produced many students. I want to say that also that not only that he's helping Taiwan, but also many other countries, they all have significant benefited from Rick's vision and collaboration in many different ways. And one of the interesting thing is he actually organized a meeting in 1989 to foster collaboration between China and Taiwan. And so with that, I just also want to say that he got actually a friendship award in 2003. So wanted to finalize by saying that Rick's international collaboration is really have a huge impact on the meteorological community and inspire several generations of scientists. And I wanted to end by quote, again, also from Winston Churchill during the World War II. He said that you cannot build your country into a heaven and block the hell outside the wall. And I think Rick is the person who really believed in that, and his care about the people who he even not able to even see about the whole international science community is the success that we could have COSMIC and many other things. Thank you, Rick. Could you please come to the stage? On behalf of the entire COSMIC team and Yuka, we got to give you a little gift here. I didn't put him up to this.
Thanks. Thank you very much.
I'm going to give it to you. All right, thank you. Sorry, I think it longer.
All right, thanks. Okay, our next speaker is Dave Ector. I work with Dave a lot on COSMIC 2. I think that Dave had an incredibly important role on COSMIC and the management side. So Dave.